Welcome back to the Webby and O'Neill channel. And with Ten Hag becoming the new Bayer Leverkusen manager, will we see him do Manchester United a favour by taking some of his former players with him to Leverkusen? We're also going to have a chat around Bruno Fernandes, the stories, the links with him and move to Saudi Arabia. Is it a time to cash in on Bruno, or is it absolute madness to do it right now? Get involved as usual, have your say, and we'll try and discuss some of your comments throughout today's video. Yeah, Ten Hag. I mean, it's just, you know, we're not in June just yet. I mean, but will we see any movement? Will we see any reports linking Ten Hag to some of his former players like André Onana?
You would always expect a former manager to go back and look at some of the players what he's signed there. And Leverkusen, where he is, there's possibly 4 players already leaving. So he will have availability to bring in players. Will he look? How I look at it, he has to look at Antony. That's his favourite. Many fans accused him of like being his pet player and all that because he kept playing him. So I look at it and think to myself, he was there with him at Ajax. You look at his form now, where he is at Real Betis. He's in a final tonight. He's on show. He's done really well and everything. Just couldn't do it in the Premier League. Could he do it in the German league? I think he could. And I think he will look at Antony. And why shouldn't he? Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him at United. And I always said it was the Premier League. So I think he will come back. But there's another player what he possibly would look at, and that's Højlund. He always thought Højlund was a player for the future and everything. Things haven't worked out. The style of United has completely changed. So 2 players. That's what I'm thinking Erik Ten Hag will look at, who he thought highly of. And he will have the funds. You know, there's talk of one player there fetching 100 million euros, more funds, possibly up to about 200 million euros being available for him to come back with.
Yeah, so Bayer Leverkusen, it looks like Florian Wirtz, he's moving to Liverpool, so there will be funds there.
Yeah.
I mean, the only problem is he has actually worked under Erik Ten Hag, and he wasn't actually picking him, or his first choice, during the final games before he got sacked here at Manchester United, Ten Hag. And to me, you know, I'm not going to try and rewrite history, but it looked to me like there was a falling out there between the pair of them, so...
Maybe it was the off-field antics what had got to him. I remember him breaking down Antony with all the struggles off-field and what was being accused of and everything. So there was a breakdown in his life, to be honest with you. But I do remember him coming back and saying, "I'm gonna fight for my place. I'm here and willing to do it." And he has proved that at Real Betis. So there's no reason why anybody, any manager in Europe should not look at Antony. And like I say, he's in the window against Chelsea in a final, and you cannot knock him coming back as a footballer. It just didn't work at United. So he has belief. That's the thing. Erik Ten Hag has belief in him, and I would expect him to come back and look at some of the players he signed. And I just think he will look at Højlund and Antony. Look, he signed these players.
Here's one for you.
Go on.
During Erik Ten Hag's time here as manager, we sold a goalkeeper, Kovar, and I actually thought he had some potential there, Kovar, in what I only seen in the pre-season games. But he then ended up selling him to Bayer Leverkusen, brought in André Onana as well. Now, people out there have a wider knowledge than me on German football. How has he actually been getting on at Bayer Leverkusen? Has he been putting in some decent performances, that goalkeeper? Because you'd be definitely up for having a chat and a conversation of trying to bring Kovar back and swapping André Onana in the opposite direction.
Well... I mean, a lot of people out there. That would be pushing it. Yeah. Him going over there. I don't think Kovar's done anything wrong. I look at the way the Germans work. You know, the methodical and all that. I don't think they'll go overboard here. They'll give the manager Erik Ten Hag a little bit of leeway, but I don't think they're there ready to get rid of every player. There is players leaving, and I think they'll just look at replacements. It's whether they will allow him or Bayer Leverkusen themselves bring in the players. I'm not fully aware of how they do it. I think that's how they do it. They bring in the players for the manager. But I think Erik Ten Hag will have a look and will try and request a few signings of his own. He might get one, he might get two, and I'm just hoping that he takes a look at Antony. And really, what should we get for him? 30, 40 million. I think that's a possibility with his renewed form. You can't knock his renewed form, so it has put value on it. So that's good news. And tonight, if he excels, comes out winning, scores a goal, that'll increase the value. But you have to look at Højlund. He believed in Højlund for the future. That's why he bought him. But unfortunately, it's not worked out for Højlund. He was thrust in there, and the pressure, I think, has got too much, and he's just not come on at all. So with a bit of luck, he takes a look at Højlund as well.
Yeah, you've got to look at Antony as well, considering players who are contracted to Manchester United. He's probably been our best attacking player, and he's not played for United since January. If you look at it, besides probably Bruno Fernandes.
Well, you've got to look at these players. What Erik Ten Hag signed. I mean, all of them. He signed them to make United great again. That's his belief in all the players. So why should that belief from Erik Ten Hag suddenly disappear? We know what went on at United under Erik Ten Hag. He was getting backstabbed by the players, the management, everything was just like in disarray. And it's worse now when you look at it. So he believed in them. He thought these players would take United on to greater things. So for me, he should still have that belief in a lot of these players. And I think Erik Ten Hag might sort of say, well, it never worked out for different reasons, and go for it. And at the end of the day, he will be getting them for a steal. So I think really, realistically, we can expect Erik Ten Hag in the coming weeks over the summer to come back in and at least go for one. I'm hoping and I believe he might come in and inquire for two, because why shouldn't he? Why shouldn't he? It's a manager who believed in players. He was given the money. When you look at Antony, £26 million at one point we could have got him for, and ended up paying madness money, which I still think we're paying for. So he believes in him. And I think his belief in him has been rewarded by his performances, Antony, in Spain. So that's Holland, he's done well in Spain, and by rights, he should do well in Germany. So let's hope he does.
Ansel, thanks for your super chat. He says, I wouldn't trust Erik Ten Hag to buy a McDonald's. Lads, he tried to sell Ahmad. Yeah, I do remember that. Take my mind back to it. You've also got to remember as well, Ahmad was suffering certain injuries as well during that season where, well, the Premier League season just before we won the FA Cup final. So I don't know if it was more a case of trying to protect Ahmad. I'm not too sure. I mean, you can look at certain reports out there. They'll tell you one thing. Yeah. Another report will tell you another. But just going back and casting my memory back, I do remember Ahmad picking up some injuries. Simply Dread says, a lot of pro managers on here. There's a lot of people actually getting involved in the chat, mentioning certain players. Erik Ten Hag. You mentioned Højlund, though. I've seen a lot of reports, which I'm sure a lot of you's out there. I'm taking it with a bit of a pinch of salt, to be honest with you, at the moment. The likes of Inter Milan, Juventus are interested in Højlund, but let me know what you think out there. Do you think any of these clubs will actually make a bid for Højlund?
Well, the two things there on Højlund and Ahmad. Yes, Ahmad had a little bit of injuries. Was he being looked to be sold? And this is where the debate over Antony comes in with Erik Ten Hag, how he was called teacher's pet, he was his favourite and all that. And it was like people saying he's not letting Ahmad play. Ahmad should play more games than that. And that's why a lot of people quickly fell out with Erik Ten Hag over Antony. You look at Højlund, and if there is links over to teams in Italy, that makes sense because they know him. They know how he performed against them. So you just don't know. But I do expect Erik Ten Hag to take a look at Højlund without a doubt.
It just makes you think, though, when you're going back, just briefly, back to Erik Ten Hag's time at Man United, the actual style of play he wanted to play. I mean, I called it ping-pong football. You attack, we attack. But to not bring players in who had that energy, that high intensity, the legs to get up and down the pitch. And it just makes you think that, you know, if we did get players in with that high intensity, maybe things might have turned out a bit different.
Well, you see, you look at a manager, when he signed all these players, he believed in him. Any manager what signs somebody believes in him, okay? And like I say, I don't think Erik Ten Hag's lost that belief in Antony, okay? And I think in the Real Betis games he's been playing, it's been absolutely brilliant for him, brilliant for his career, Antony. So I think that belief is still strong with Erik Ten Hag, because people accused Erik Ten Hag of being stubborn in many, many ways. And that's how he fell out with a lot of players. We've heard all the stories and everything, but I don't think he ever fell out. That's my opinion. With Antony, and I think he will be on the radar, and really going over to Germany, I think it would suit him over there, to be honest with you. So with a bit of luck, news might come of that. I hope so. And like I say, Erik Ten Hag signed these players and he had belief in them all. You know, you just look at them all. You could go through the list and he had belief in them. No one's got belief in a lot of these players, what Erik Ten Hag signed now, because it's been poor. Because of the way everything's gone at United.
You've also got to look at, you know, the signings under Erik Ten Hag. You know, a large part played was by John Murtough as well. And I'm sure I remember having a discussion on here a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, that he's actually at Atalanta now. Is he like a football director over there that obviously helps out with the recruitment side? I mean, can he do us a favour as well? He must have got on with Atalanta, though, when they were doing the deal with Højlund.
Well, you know,
I mean,
there's a few backhanders there, isn't there?
I'm telling you.
No, you look at Højlund and any team, they will know Højlund. They'll have had reports on him and all that. But I really do feel as though Erik Ten Hag might go back in for him. That's my gut feeling, and I do believe he will definitely have a look at Antony, and it all depends on price. But they have got the money, and that's the good thing about it. You know, like I say, Erik Ten Hag believed in the players. Unfortunately, it didn't work out.
Mr. Destroyer, I don't think you're talking to us, but there must be a chat getting on in the live chat at the moment. That if you guys think it's okay chasing talent like Garnacho and Menu away, then I'm speechless. You can't be meaning us, because that's not what we've said. But there must be a bit of a chat going on in there. So yeah, get involved, keep getting in there.
Well, Garnacho's not being chased away. Garnacho himself has created the problem with his own attitude and that. And then you look at players, what people are being accused of chasing him away. You look at Rashford. Everything Rashford's done is his own of making. It's his own fault. And the same with Garnacho. He sort of like wanted to do it his way. He wouldn't knuckle down. So no one's chasing Garnacho out. He's just not suited, and he's not knuckling down to how he should have done the year before under Erik Ten Hag, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he didn't look happy, Garnacho, signing a few of them shirts for the fans over in Malaysia, did he? Did you see his face?
Well, he's been punished. He's dragged out
like
there.
A naughty little schoolboy, isn't
well,
he?
He's been
sat there next to a guy, like, ooh, you know.
Well, he's been treated like one. Every picture I've seen of Garnacho over there in Malaysia, he's just got as though he's had a slap, and he's been treated like a child. And we heard the reports yesterday of how Erik Ten Hag spoke to him in front of everybody, and that's how it is. And a lot of these players fell out with Erik Ten Hag because of being told how to behave, and they've done the same again under Ruben Amorim.
Rev G says, I was watching you guys last week before the final. You gave me too much hope. I mean, after listening to Ruben Amorim's speech here at Old Trafford at the end of the game against Villa, he had me feeling like we're going to be challenging for the Premier League next season. I'm not going to lie. I was like thinking, get that out of my head, knocking it out of my head.
Well, listen, I gave everyone hope for 8 months, and I told everybody we'd get to the final. Obviously, as a United fan, I thought we'd win it. We didn't win it. But for 8 months, I kept banging on about it. We would get to it because I just believed that the team, it was suited for European football. Well, Europa League football. Fortunately, we didn't perform in any shape or form. That's just don't get me back on that, please.
Yeah, I've just seen a report earlier on coming out from Ben Jacobs. Like I say, take whatever you read with a pinch of salt. It's up to you. But he's saying that Barcelona do retain an interest in Rashford. You know, United are seeking a £40 million transfer fee with an option to buy. And, you know, we was discussing Antony. I mean, 40 million for Rashford. Wouldn't you be expecting the same or more for Antony, considering what he's done already on loan at Betis?
I think you would expect somewhere around that. maybe 30 to 40 million for Antony. But if you're talking about Rashford, stories coming out again, linking him back to Barcelona, I don't think that's on that. Because I just look at Barcelona, okay? The football itself does not fit with Marcus Rashford, the Marcus Rashford I've seen for the last 2 or 3 years. And if anybody turns round and says, but if Marcus Rashford, and I've heard this from ex-players who are backing him, okay, saying, oh, well, if we get the Marcus Rashford back of old, it doesn't happen 3 years down the line. You expect somebody to be the player that he was when he was 24. Absolutely not. Marcus Rashford, as far as I'm concerned, will never get back to what he was 3-4 years ago. Unfortunately, I think people are just deluded if they think Barcelona are really interested in him. I think they might look at a loan move. That's a possibility.
Yeah, I'm looking at United with the recruitment strategy, with what the news is out there. They're looking at proven Premier League players. And, if you're Barcelona, which is the bigger gamble, taking Antony for 40 million or Rashford? The bigger gamble's taking Rashford. I mean, Antony, yeah, he's only had a few months over there, but he's completely turned his form around. So, if you're the guys at Barcelona, you'd be thinking, yeah, let's get the punt on Antony instead of Rashford.
Yeah, possibility that would happen. But I think Barcelona are going through a big restructure. We've seen what they've turned it round, and they've done really well. I think they're going for a youth policy, to be honest with you, and I think big money signings isn't on their brief. I look at, when you talk about big money signings, we mentioned Bruno at the beginning there. The links with Bruno will not go away with Saudi Arabia, and lots of fans out there turning around saying, sell him, get the money and everything else like that. For a couple of months now, it won't go away. It will not go away. And over the last 48 hours, it was put out there in the media that, hey, come Thursday, that's the deadline day. Make your mind up, Bruno time. And the money, what's being bandied about out there, it for me is madness.
Yeah, the actual fees, what you're looking at there, I'm just reading it off there. Obviously, there's a deadline meant to have been set for Thursday, which is tomorrow. Transfer fee that they're prepared to pay Al Hilal is £100 million and a proposed salary of £65 million per year. I mean, wow. That's absolute, would it be madness, though, to cash in on Bruno now?
Well, I look at it in a few ways. The first one I look at it is this. Our club, Man United, is being run by accountants. Yeah. That's how I look at it. And if we all know, it's all about money. And then the other way I look at it is what actually Ruben Amorim has said recently. Youth will be given a chance at Man United. It's in United's DNA. So that is a worry for me. Would I want Bruno to go? Certainly not. When you see the goals, what he's chipped in and everything, and you'd have to fear where we would be without Bruno this year. He's never injured. He's always there. I don't believe he's always played in the right position. I think at the start of the season, first half especially, he didn't play well. For whatever reason, I don't know. But he's obviously shown his form. He's vital to this team. So to sell him, I think, is madness, because I think he brings more to the team. And you also have to look at it, as I see it, how much is it going to cost to replace him? Yeah. And we are being run by accountants. And that's the worry.
The Destroyer, just give a super chat. I will get back to you in a moment, but it's just coming to me head. We was having a chat, I think it was like last week sometime, about Bruno, and you just mentioned the word vital to this team. To me, Bruno's only vital in this team when he's playing in that number 10 role. I mean, when he's dropped back into midfield, I mean, I only see his best work being done, really, in the last 20 minutes of games where the game's opening up more, where he's got more space to actually ping some passes in and move the ball forward. I think if you're coming up against the top teams, it doesn't work in there for me with Bruno. It just doesn't. He might have a different opinion out there, but I just don't see it.
Well, you've got to say, on that logic, what you're saying is,
You know, when you look at Everton, you know, games like Everton, you know, the last 20 minutes or so where we were getting beat, he was then dropped in to midfield. He had plenty of time on the ball, you know, to ping these passes up, get the ball further forward. And I've seen a few games like that. But when you're up against the top teams, I'm just not sure. And I'm not convinced that that's his long-term position in this team for me. But then again, you know, keeping him in the squad going into a new season where, you know,
it might come down to Ruben Amorim if he's got somebody who he thinks can play in the Bruno position where he's best at. So the club will be talking to Ruben Amorim. They'll be having discussions about it. With all the reports there, you have to take them because it has been going on for quite a while now, and they have to take it seriously. And if the offer did come in and Bruno did open his mouth and say, yeah, I'm prepared to go, because I'm sure conversations have gone on.
Yeah, just like I say, you know, teams in the Europa League, different pace, different tempo of football, the physicality. You know, he will tend to do quite well in there, but against the Premier League teams in that midfield too, I'm just not convinced on it yet. I think he does his best work in that 10 role. But yeah, going back into the chat, the Destroyer, thanks for your super chat. Do you think with just one game a week, the coming year we can do with 17, 18 player squad? Losing a lot of players with massive wages this summer would be amazing. I don't think Mainu got a fair chance last season.
I don't think 17 players, regardless of how many games we've got. Listen, you think we've got one game a week. It's not one game a week. You've got to remember the Carabao Cup starts early for us. You know, we're not exempt from the early rounds. So we will be playing in that Carabao Cup if we win the first game and it just continue, okay? So do I think 17-man squad? No, I don't. I think these players, they've got a lot of hard work and it's going to be tough in the Premier League for any players what come in and for the players what are being brought up through the youth, because Ruben Amorim is telling you that's what he's looking at. And that's what Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos want. They want to bring young players through. Whether that's penny pinching or not, I don't know. But it's going to be tough no matter what, whether it's a 17-man squad or a 23, 24-man squad. But it's clear the accountants are in charge. They're going to small squad. And at the end of the day, 2, 3 players brought in, and it's players going out. It's going to be very, very tough. And I don't think anyone has got a clear idea of how it's going to go.
Yeah, I've just got to get back and get behind Amorim. Hopefully he does get the actual backing that he actually needs in this squad. I don't expect a mad transfer window where we're getting at least 5, 6 players who will automatically go into this starting 11 and improve this team. I'm expecting 3, possibly 4, you know, players who will actually get into the starting 11 and improve it. Maybe 1 or 2 youngsters as well for like a long-term project. But look, let's wait and see.
Look, I've got to be clear here. Ruben Amorim's not going to get the backing. Okay, he's going to get some backing. Okay, we already know the money's not there to go out there and bring in the players to change it round. He's not going to get the backing what's required of this great club. Certainly not going to get the backing. He's going to get a little bit of money to bring in a few players, okay? And he's going to have to work with it. He's going to have to deal with it. He's going to have to deal with the players he's got at the start of the season, whether the young players, whether the players he can't even get rid of. He's not going to get the backing what he deserves as a manager to take this club forward. But what he's going to have to do is coach these players, right, to get a system and get a style of football for a winning team. Now, that is going to be tough. But backing, not a chance is he going to get the backing. It's not there, and it's not going to be there for quite a while.
Yeah, I think I've just put it up on screen. As you all probably know, like the Kuna news is going to be set for a medical soon. But there was some news coming out earlier yesterday that Manchester United wanted to spread the payments of the transfer fee over 5 years, which they had to go back to the actual original terms set out in the clause, which is 2 instalments, which I think it said it was. So it's kind of telling you with what Manchester United originally wanted, the payment scheme on Klarna, on Tick. There's not a lot of funds there to go out and buy quite a few top quality players because it's just not there.
Well, this is where your accountants come in. This is what I keep saying. We're being run by accountants. Yeah. That's all we're being run by, accountants. They wanted to spread the payments. Well, the payments are all there from players, what we've just been talking about, Højlund, Antony, everybody, okay? That money is being swallowed up. And when we go back to Bruno, if there is an offer coming in, and it's a big offer, okay, 100 million. Okay, 100 million, got to take it. That's what they will say inside that club. And then Ruben Amorim will have to deal with it. If we'd have got into the Champions League, okay, and potentially there was £100 million bonus there for us at the end of the Champions League, Ruben Amorim has already told you we could have only possibly brought one more player in. So if you get £100 million for Bruno, how are you going to replace him? Because that money is going to be eaten up, swallowed up by player transfers, what's owed, and also paying off the debt and other payments. So how are you going to replace him? Because the money won't be there. So for these accountants, they will take the money and then they will put it all on Ruben Amorim. Deal with it. That's what you're here for. Set this system up and away you go. And you better perform. For me, I think he's got a very, very tough task.
And so, lads, we're too reliant on Bruno. Isn't it time we stop being Moments FC and start building a team that all give their all every game?
That's Ruben Amorim's job now. Build a team. Yeah. Build a team from what you've got. Let's start from scratch. That's what they're saying. And they're just looking at it. The men in suits are looking at it from a different way at the moment. When they're looking at it from the wrong way, they should have came in here and sorted the football out on the pitch. And now it's all turned round. And we've all got our fingers crossed. And it's down to Ruben Amorim. But, as Ruben Amorim says, he's had 6 months looking at what's going on. So all the carnage and chaos, in his opinion, has gone. He did warn us, and it just got worse and worse and worse. I expected it. But he's a coach, and he's got his coaches there. And if I look at Sporting where he was, he just cleared it all out. He got rid of all the dead wood and everything, and then he started from scratch. Now, the Portuguese league...
Different beast there, though.
Different. I'm just saying it's a different beast. Completely different beast, the Premier League. So it's going to be very, very tough. But he is, I have to say it again, he is not going to get backed in the way everyone out there thinks. I'm in disbelief at how many people are out there reporting, we're in for this player, we want this player. He's £100 million, he's £80 million. I'm shocked at the naivety of people out there listening to people talking rubbish and then repeating it. It's beyond a joke. We are rock bottom, and we said it the other day, Kieron. This club is at rock bottom.
Yeah.
Can it go further? No. It can't go any further. It should never be allowed to go any further. And the good thing is, all the carnage and chaos has happened, and Ruben Amorim is now able to put it right and set us on the right path, hopefully.
Just to ask you all out there, are you watching the game that kicks off at 1:45? If you are, do you want us to do a form of a match reaction on it, or a video straight after the game? But if you want us to, or you are watching the game, just let us know in the chat. Conrad from our members club says, at the end of the day, we need money in the bank. Conrad has also gifted 10 memberships. The 10 people who've been gifted them memberships, big thank you to Conrad, the legend.
Yeah, Conrad, I agree. We need money in the bank. But, you know, it's not what we want as football fans. The club has been run rotten, okay? And the money in the bank should be there for players, and it's not. It's there for debt. And that's where we are at this moment. And I just hope, when I go back to the beginning of the conversation, what we had, that Erik Ten Hag is able to splash some cash.
Can I just go back to something now? We've just mentioned Ten Hag. We discussed it earlier on about Kobbie Mainoo. Obviously, under Erik Ten Hag, he was being used, which felt like every single game. A lot of pressure put on such young shoulders. Since Ruben Amorim's come in, though, he's not really putting him his first choice in the starting 11 more often than not. More often than not, he's coming from the bench. Do you think he's protecting Kobbie Mainoo? Or do you think he's just not really taking to him where he feels like he can be a starter in this Manchester United 11?
No, it's not. I don't think it's that. It's just taken to him. There's a lot of things going on in and around Kobbie Mainoo, and I think there's going to be a few things coming out about him. You have to look at what's going on in the background. His contract all year. His contract's been talked about. Has he really knuckled down to it? He's had a lot of football for a young lad, and I think he might just be having the fatigue. But his position of play, it's where Bruno plays. That's where he wants further forward, right? So I just look at it and I think to myself, if Bruno does go, there's your Mainoo, and he'll just slot him right in. I think that might be a solution. But
you've also got the likes of Cunha in there. You've got still Xerxes in the squad.
That's right.
Garnacho's still here as well. Bruno on top of that. Mainoo.
No, you can forget Garnacho.
Yeah, but I'm just mentioning they're still the players in this squad who were there.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's the position. Would Ruben Amorim put Mainoo in that position? That's where Mainoo wants to play. And maybe there has been a falling out. His attitude, the way he sort of walks around, conducts himself, Mainoo, it's as though like he's underwhelmed. So there might be some news on him, whether he's in the team or you just never know what's going to happen here. Like I go back to it. Everybody's up for sale if an offer comes in. United will look at it because it's more like a business run by accountants. I think we are an accountancy. It just doesn't look like we're a football club at the moment.
To be fair though, it feels like that with every club though these days, with all these new PSR rules coming in. I mean, it's like football fans, supporters these days have to look on the financial side of things more than just what's going on the football pitch. And yeah, I suppose that does drive clicks for a lot of journalists out there discussing all that kind of stuff. But the Destroyer, thanks for your super chat. With Frimpong leaving, which is he going to Liverpool? I've seen news on that. I can see Erik Ten Hag going for Dalot. I mean, by all means, you're welcome to him, in my opinion.
Listen, as I said earlier on, Leverkusen are losing a few players. So he will have to go out there and replenish the squad in Bayer Leverkusen. And I'm telling you, you would expect him to come back. You would expect any manager to look at his former players if they're there. He believed in these players, what he signed. Xerxes, I just don't know. I just don't know if he'll be allowed to spend the money and if he will be allowed to pick the players. I'm not too sure that a manager has that much freedom to go out there spending the club's money. It's run differently, the Bundesliga.
Antel, thanks for your super chat, my mate. Says, love Bruno, but he's carried us far too long. He ain't 12/10. We are a dead team. Too many players not working and just looking to Bruno to save us.
Bruno can't save us for much longer. His legs at some point will go, and you have to look at it. And people have looked at it. I've seen lots of comments about Bruno, about his age. We've been very lucky that he's not been injured. But you have to look at it with his age, and if a big money offer comes in, to be honest with you, the club, I look at it and think, if the offer did come in and it was genuine, I'd have to say we're rebuilding. And I look at it that way. We are rebuilding. And if a massive offer come in, you have to take it. You have to take it because Bruno won't be there for the final shout in about 3 years when really this is how long it should take to put us in a position to at least challenge. And Bruno won't be there for it. And there is criticism of Bruno in certain games, but the thing is, we've not been able to do without him. Now, if Ruben Amorim feels or is under pressure to move players on, and he feels as that he can cope, fine. But the money, what comes in, will not be used for him. So you have to look at it from a club point of view. The offer come in, it'd go, and you can't really knock it. Massive amount of money for Bruno.
Yeah, a massive amount.
It's a big loss.
The thing is, for me personally, I don't see Bruno Fernandes choosing to go to the Saudi League at this point in his career. I just really don't. I mean, I'd still keep Bruno for another season. Then, as a club, look to put him on the transfer market after another season under Ruben Amorim. That hopefully everything improves, and then we can look to rebuild, take that next stage, and use, you know, a vital amount of cash that you'd still get for Bruno next summer to then reinvest into the squad. But Bruno himself, I mean, it'd shock me. It wouldn't shock me Bruno leaving United, but it'd be a massive shock to me if Bruno left for Saudi Arabia, even though that's the amount of cash on the table, that's 65 million a year.
I don't believe personally that Bruno would like to go to Saudi. I go back to a comment several months ago from him, and he did state that he and his family are really, really happy here. And don't see their future away. So I look at it from that point of view, and I also look at it, I don't think if he's that much of a family man, which he sounds as though he is, that he'd move his family over to Saudi at this late stage. I think he's comfortable here, he's happy here, he's playing football all the time. So for me, I don't think he'd want to go. But United, if a big offer coming like that, they try and push him out the door without a doubt.
Fred Grantham has gifted 5 memberships.
Thank you.
Big thank you to Fred, the legend. But yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up there. Like I mentioned earlier on, I think we're going to catch a bit of the game that's coming up at 1:45. If you are watching it and you want to get back involved in a match reaction later, let us know in the comment section below if you want us to do one, so we can all have a chat about it, have your say in the comment section. But yeah, much appreciated that you all joining us today. Smash a like on the video, help support the channel. As you know, it's much appreciated, and we'll see you again soon. Much love. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.